Hello, and welcome to another video from 3.5 Archive. Today we're going to be doing another D&D 3.5 Prestige class review, and we're going to be looking at the Arcane Hierophant Prestige class from the Races of the Wild sourcebook. Arcane Hierophants blend arcane and druidic magic into a synthesis that allows them to master both of those magical disciplines. They also combine their familiar and animal companions' abilities into one potent ally to help them in their adventuring. To become an Arcane Hierophant, you need 8 ranks each in Knowledge Arcana and Knowledge Nature. You'll need a non-lawful alignment, a base attack bonus of +4, the trackless step feature, and the ability to cast second-level spells of both Arcane and Divine Magic. The base attack bonus of +4 is a strange requirement, as is the non-lawful alignment to a degree, seeing as Druids just need to be neutral, and there's nothing particularly against being lawful for being a wizard. In fact, wizards are said to actually tend toward lawful alignments. Trackless Step means that you need to be a druid of at least level 3, which makes sense since this prestige class is meant for sorcerer druid or wizard druid multi-class characters. Overall, I would rate this prestige class's requirements as lightly restrictive, with the presupposition, of course, that you are going in as a wizard druid or sorcerer druid. To get into this prestige class, you'll need 3 levels each of the latter, or 4 levels of sorcerer. Druid gives you a ton of flexibility as you know your entire spell list, but you might still appreciate the added flexibility of a wizard, as that's an entirely different spell list, and doing so will mean you'll have a higher intelligence and can more easily meet the skill rank requirements for this prestige class without giving up other vital skills like concentration and spellcraft. So you're going to be coming in here with 3 levels of druid and 3 levels of wizard, or you're going to be coming in with 3 levels of druid and 4 levels of sorcerer. There are alternatives, of course, but that's going to be the most common ways to get into the Arcane Hierophant Prestige class. So, as an Arcane Hierophant, you're going to get a d6 hit die, midway between Wizard and Druid, and a 3/4 base attack bonus. You get a Goodwill save, and 4+ Intelligence modifier skill points per level. This is a decent set of stats for the class. Not having a good Fortitude save will hurt, especially considering your other levels are going to be in Sorcerer or Wizard that don't have a good Fortitude save either. You will have a bit of a good Fortitude save from Druid, so it's not going to be all bad. Most importantly, you advance both Divine and Arcane spellcasting at every single one of the 10 levels of this Prestige class. However, if that was all you cared about, you could have simply taken levels in Mystic Theurge. So let's take a look at the actual features that Arcane Hierophant gives you. At level 1, you get 3 features. The first is Ignore Arcane Spell Failure. This is usually called Armored Mage or something like that, but perhaps they didn't want it to get confused with other similar features. This lets you ignore Arcane Spell Failure chance for non-metallic light and medium armor, so not quite the same as most Armored Mage abilities. You can wear Hide Armor and still cast your Sorcerer and Wizard spells, of course in line with your Druidic requirements. And this is nice, as you'll probably want the armor class when you're not in wild shape, and having that as a sorcerer wizard is kind of difficult without having bracers, which are going to still be inferior to actually wearing armor in many cases. Speaking of wild shape, this prestige class won't give it to you. You'll need to take 2 more levels in druid to get access to it. However, once you do, your levels in this prestige class count as druid levels to advance your wild shape abilities. This is great for a second feature, as it keeps a core part of the druid advancement intact. Pick up the natural spell feat and you'll have access to both wizard spellist buffs as well as druidic ones to truly turn yourself into a titan in combat, and all while staying in your animal form. You will still be 3 levels behind due to those wizard levels you had to take in terms of your wild shape ability, but you can make up for it with your buff spells. Finally, at level 1, you must dismiss your familiar if you have one. You don't lose XP for this like you would normally. Instead, the abilities you previously imbued your familiar with are now granted to your animal companion. You add your Arcane Hierophant level to your Druid level for your animal companion stats, and to your Wizard level for your familiar stats and abilities. The example given is a level 4 Druid, level 3 Wizard, level 4 Arcane Hierophant, whose animal companion has the abilities of an 8th level Druid and the familiar abilities of a 7th level Wizard. This is fantastic because your animal companion gains the empathic link that lets you scout with them and see through their eyes, but you no longer lose XP if they die, like you would if you lost a familiar. That risk of scouting with familiars being removed is a big deal, although your animal companion is likely a larger creature if you want it to help you out in combat, so it is a little bit more difficult to scout with. Also, getting share spells for an animal companion is huge, as it allows you to apply any buff spells you cast on yourself to your animal companion as well, massively increasing its survivability and power in combat. Overall, this feature is great simply for advancing your animal companion if nothing else. So far, you are missing out on wizard bonus feats and non-wild shape related druid class features, but are you keeping the most important parts of your advancement? At level 4, you get Channel Animal twice per day. This ability allows you to cast a touch spell or other spell from any animal you touch. This includes your animal companion, but also could allow you to cast Charm Animal on some squirrels and send them in to cast lightning bolts against enemies. You need to maintain line of sight and line of effect to the animals, but this can still be a great way to take out guards without exposing yourself to too much danger. You'll probably more often use this to cast touch spells through your animal companion while you stay out of melee. With the buff spells replicated on your animal companion from share spells, this will be a much better option than it normally would, sending your companion into melee combat and into a lot more danger. At level 6, you get Channel Plant once per day, which allows you to do the same thing, but with plants. Not plant creatures, sadly, but still, this can be a great ability for setting up an ambush or booby-trapping plants. It's not entirely clear how the rules for this work when it comes to the plant holding the charge for the touch spell, as it does say it is discharged onto the first creature that touches the plant, without much duration listed otherwise, so perhaps this could be a great way to booby-trap your Druid's Grove long-term. Either way, this feature is going to rely on a lot of planning and will be very situational use. Still not bad, but Channel Animal seems to be better. Level 8 gives you 4 uses a day of Channel Animal, and level 10 gives you 2 uses a day of Channel Plant. Level 8 seems to be the peak in terms of features besides level 1, so it would be tempting to say to only take either 1 level or 8 levels of the Arcane Hierophant Prestige class. However, in actuality, you should take all 10 levels. Unless you desperately want wizard bonus feats, venom immunity, Thousand Faces, or Timeless Body, you will do best to keep advancing here. This Prestige class does run into the same issues the Mystic Theurge does, of having too many spells and not enough combat rounds in which to use them all. And even with utility and buffing spells, and various other out-of-combat challenges, it sometimes makes you feel less effective than a spellcaster who sticks to one type of magic. But with Arcane Hierophant, the price of 3 druid levels for wild shape can be made up for with haste and heroism combined with barkskin and magic fang to buff up any shortcomings in your wild shape form. You can become incredibly deadly in melee combat with a couple more levels in druid. And with share spells on your animal companion, you get incredible efficiency, making your animal companion a far more viable melee combatant with the same number of spells cast. Even if you don't get wild shape, you can stay back and sling spells with your buffed up animal companion ripping apart foes in melee, and you can use it to deliver touch spells you yourself don't want to get close enough to cast. This Prestige class gives you a ton of options for being extremely effective. Overall, the Arcane Hierophant gets 3 stars for concept and 4 stars for execution. It could have used a few more features, even small ones, to round it out, but it is understandable that they didn't want to eclipse the Mystic Theurge too much. Still, for how sparse the class table looks, it's a great option, one that starts out with powerful class features that grow incrementally throughout the Prestige class. It's an excellent choice for anybody who can't make up their mind between Arcane and Druidic magic. So that'll be about it for this D&D 3.5 Prestige class review. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and so on. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time, here on 3.5 Archive.